Bravo wants to go first. Generally, Dorinthea wants to go second. So I'm curious as to who won that die roll and chose to chose to decide that they wanted the other player to not have their ideal rather than for them to have their ideal. So this disable isn't dominated, and it is a very good card in this matchup. On the basis that if you do have that surge up, you can dominate it off a 3-card hand, or one in Arsenal 2 in hand, and no matter how you play it, no matter how it comes out, it will disrupt. Like a lot of Guardian cards do, it will disrupt the Warrior's 5-card turn, which maybe they would have set up for. I think in this instance, Sharif would have loved to take 6 from a hammer swing.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
But now he's deciding he's going to be losing some cards here. He just has to decide which ones.
Yeah, it's a big swing. Red disable coming in, even non dominated here. It's still a great card to throw out because he's either taken from the crush. Oh, he is taking the crush effect, so he's going to put that Arsenal card at the bottom of his deck, via the 4 or more damage hitting from the disable. Interesting choice. So I guess the Arsenal card wasn't as necessary. I guess taking 9 here off the bat. Not sure what Sharif has, but I'm sure it must be something. Just that he can roll with the 4-card hand. He must have at least, I'm guessing, a blue, and something else, maybe some attack reactions or something of the like to push through some damage here.
It was certainly a very aggressive play and a very aggressive decision. This is definitely. We've seen this very aggressive play from him on stream yesterday. He cracked his bolters on turn 2 in a Warrior Mirror matchup.
Sure.
And to keep pressure up with that sword. So we're definitely seeing a very aggressive playstyle continue in this instance in terms of eating 9 damage and losing a card. And I think at this point, Jacob is happy about that.
Oh yeah.
There's definitely, between 10 to 15 defense reacts in that deck. He's already dealt a quarter of, or let's call it a fifth when you factor in armor, of effective damage against Sharif. It's turn 1, and we're just seeing his first defense react come out. I think he's happy with this.
Oh yeah.
That defense react did come out of hand, interestingly.
It did. So that will trigger any kind of reprise, which Sharif did have a reprise in hand with the Singing Steel Blade. He only used the Razor, passed the priority, got the sync. He did trigger, I believe he did trigger, Jacob did trigger the sync, so he did put 1 to the bottom and drew 1. The Singing Steel Blade, it looks like it's going to search for a glint to give it the go again, and he's going to be able to draw a card off that because sync was from hand. Reprise, a very strong ability, knowing when to time it, but it looks like Jacob has the answers. Pulling off the second sync below, so he's blocking in for 8 against Sharif's 7, I believe. And so without a twinning blade, he's not going to be able to swing again with the sword because Dorinthea is not going to be active here. But he does have it in hand, just as I say it. It appears the ideal situation here. Not sure if he drew it off the glint or he just automatically had it, but either way, he's going to swing in again because of the twinning blade's ability. Allowing him to swing again regardless of he hit or not, and he's going to pitch it looks like red Iron Song and just swing in for 3, which Jacob's going to very comfortably block because that was Sharif's last card, so he didn't have anything else. So,
so this is another example of a very aggressive play coming from Sharif here, where in that one turn he threw 3 very big threats.
Right.
Singing Steel Blade, Glint, and a twinning blade. And knowing that, even with that twinning blade and even with that swing, your opponent has 2 cards in hand, it's a Guardian, they definitely all block for 3, or at least one of those 2 does. And you're going to be swung back at, and we just saw take another 4 from the hammer here.
Right.
So I think Sharif may need to be aiming to go wide in this instance. He did get 2 sync belows out from that last turn, which would normally put him in a good spot, but the fact that he's down 13 life and hasn't made a scratch in armor or HP, I think is a bit more concerning, especially seeing that he's, he pumped 3 threats into that motion.
Yeah. No, for sure. We saw the kind of board, so we saw the 2 sinks, but on the other side, we We saw 4 very strong cards out of Sharif and a 2 for 4, not being able to even get any damage. Just card wise, like threat wise, left in the deck, right? Um, they're gonna if this game goes long, they're gonna need those threats later on to push any kind of damage. And we see, of course, Bravo's coming in with seven armor, assuming the skull cap will block for 2 and then block for 1. Um, and you know, I get sure like Sharif hasn't used any armor himself either. So Jacob kind of just now using his armor, kind of telegraphing for me a bit of a he's got some kind of maybe crippling or spinal in arsenal, and he wants to dominate it with a pummel, or maybe not dominate with a pummel, or maybe dominate it. So kind of if I'm Sharif here, I'm a little bit worried here that big crush is coming my way.
Definitely, and I think Jacob maybe he's got one extra card in hand that he can just block his key strike with. Otherwise, if he is building up for that big crush turn, knowing that there is no card in arsenal there,
Right. Yeah, he's
take all the damage.
Yeah, he's taken the 7. I would be very surprised if I didn't see at the very least like spinal with pummel or like crippling dominate or something along those lines.
It's gonna have to be something big. So
3, 6. Mangle. Okay, so we have I assume a. Okay, so he did Bravo it, so he's got 2 floating, I believe, unless he just verbally said Bravo, and didn't put it on.
Yeah, as a Guardian player, I know myself and some others are quite guilty of just throwing their whole hand into the pitch zone and just saying dominated whatever attack on the field.
Yeah.
So either he may have 2 resources floating to represent the pummel, which he may or may not have, or he may be dominating this. It looks like it's dominated based on the fact that we see the armor coming in.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting choice to use here because no armor already has a -1 on it. So this is effectively a card with no on-hit effect.
Yeah, I think Jacob's just swinging for tempo here. He just wants to get the damage. We do see the red pummel in arsenal, as we kind of alluded to earlier, keeping the 5 cards. So that's going to add +4 to the mangle. Sharif does have the red steel blade shunt, which is going to add 6. He's going to have to pitch to use it because his tunic's only at 2, unfortunately. But beggars can't be choosers here. You either have the shunt or you don't have the shunt, right? So I don't think he's going to be super sad about it. He is using the shunt to block. He doesn't want to discard from the pummel is what I'm thinking here, because discarding from the pummel, you might as well just pitch it and then block the damage rather than take the damage and have to discard from the pummel, right? So he will use his equipment, and maybe the next mangle that comes in is going to be quite deadly. Probably Jacob's going to want to set up a big one to get rid of the I guess depending on what he still has at the moment, depending on what Sharif has, could get rid of the bracers. Is very strong item for warrior. Bolters, even the skull cap, honestly, it really depends on what a situation here, but swinging for quite a bit of tempo.
In a world where Bravo still has a lot of defense reacts, you might just want to destroy those bolters, because you've seen that one glint go by already. Another interesting thing to note: Sharif has done a good amount of pitching on reds, and I'm not sure if that's a conscious decision or just the result of some awkward hands.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if he does have enough time to get those back, because he was taking quite an aggressive amount of damage in the early game. He seems to have slowed it down perhaps a little bit here. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, so here we just have a naked Dawnblade swing. We've got 2 floating, 1 card in hand with Sharif. Jacob's just going to block for 6. Really no reason not to. I mean, worst case scenario, he gets a route out maybe or something like that, and he's going to take 3 damage. I don't, and he'll have to, I don't know, like he'll have no energy left. He'd have to just end his turn. So good block there by Jacob. Just a really easy, very, very good 2-card hand. Just getting the Seismic Surge token off the Tectonic Plating and CNC for 6. Not a super easy block for the warrior, because if he is going wide, a lot of those attack actions are defense too. Flock of the Featherwalkers, Ravenous Rabble, Scar for a Scar. He doesn't have as many 3 blocks, and I believe this is probably the go wide warrior, given that we have seen the E strikes now coming out. So in the Go Wide Warrior, there's generally not as many blues because all of your attack actions are generally zero cost other than the flock. So he doesn't really need to run as many blues. So I think it might just be a little bit awkward hand wise, and he just doesn't have as much ammo on average to push anything needing a lot of needing a lot of resources to actually use here.
So in this instance, Command and Conquer is coming in. There's no pummel being threatened. Maybe you're worried about a lunging press, but I think that's a very outside chance. Maybe I'll be proven wrong on that. But otherwise, I think Warrior has enough. All Warrior class cards block for 3, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So he's opting to take all the damage and lose an Arsenal card again. So that's the second time we've seen him take the full damage from an attack and still lose a card from it. In this instance, out of Arsenal. In last instance, also out of Arsenal from the disable.
Right.
So he's playing very aggressively with his life here, and those on-hit effects are coming in very big for Jacob Pearson.
Sure. Kind of important to note, though, that Arsenal was an Iron Song Determination. Very good card, especially when the other player is a little bit low on armor. I mean, Jacob still has, plating up. He has Skull Cap up. He has the last tick of a Crater Fist, which I am 90% sure he just wants to pop it and use it on a crush attack, honestly. But either way, it's still, the armor's still there if he needs it.
Yeah, when you're up on 12 life, I think that Crater Fist becomes, that +2 becomes a lot more attractive than the armor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Iron Song Determination is an amazing card in the matchup. Bravo has access to, as we're seeing right now, a staunch response where even the blue can defend for 8 if they want.
Sure.
So,
No, fair enough. We're just gonna see the pitch. No additional costs here. Just gonna block the 7. So Sharif is gonna get through because he did use Out for Blood and a Razor Reflex. So he's gonna be buffing the sword to 9, getting over with 2 damage over the staunch response. So we're gonna see another swing with the last pip here, swinging in for 3, and Jacob is gonna block 3, 2 off his plating and 1 off his skull cap. So he is now starting to use some of that armor. 3-card hand. What do you think? What do you think Jacob's keeping with this?
so this is either going to be a big attack, or he's wanting to, dominated Spinal Crush. So a big attack in this instance. The alternative
do
would
it.
have been maybe he had a defense react that he was just going to end the turn in Arsenal after,
Sure.
hammering, or maybe even pitching for an undominated Mangle for 8.
Mm-hmm.
The dominated Spinal Crush definitely hurts the Go Wide Warrior more than the Go Tall Warrior.
For sure.
And he can't. The only way he can get there without a defense react is if he does block with everything he's got left, including the tunic, which is a tough thing to do when you've still got half your health.
Yeah, it looks like that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna block for 3 plus 3, take 3, I believe. So he's not gonna get crushed. He is gonna take 3, go down to 18 though, and there goes his tunic. Still relatively early in the match, so it's gonna be a little bit awkward later on. He has no more armor pips left that he can block with, so crush effects like Crippling Crush are definitely going to hurt here. But we see Sharif coming in with the Iron Song Determination, Spoils of War, pitching the Energy Potion to swing in for 6 Dominate Go again, I believe.
So even I don't believe this is as threatening as it looks.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jacob does have enough HP to absorb it and then block the slightly weakened next attack. Or if he really wanted to, he could have just thrown his armor at it with another card earlier.
Sure. Just opting to take the first one and fully block the second one because it's only coming in for 4 dominate. Still had the armor, right? So might as well just block the second one for 4. He knows nothing else is coming in here.
Yeah. So in this instance, he's weighed 2 points of armor to use in the future. Or sorry, he couldn't have actually blocked that first one because his skull cap isn't turned on.
Yeah, he just had the Crater Fist and Tectonic Plating. But I mean, here he's just going to swing for 4. Sharif's gonna take the 4. Plague of Remembrance on Bravo's on Jacob's side. Great card to get your big crush effects back. Could also use it for other act like CNC. That's a really great generic that it can work with Pummel. It's not very expensive. He could very easily 2-card hand for, as we saw earlier, a Seismic Surge token into CNC. Very efficient card with a blue. And so he's going to put that one back in the deck. He's going to put a Spinal back in the deck. Very, very efficient cards versus Warrior, as they're cheaper to get either a Dominate or a Pummel across with them.
So I think that was a very good reset turn for Jacob there. He remembranced, he got back that last-ditch effort as coverage in case somehow the game does go long, and just add a little bit more blue to a deck that you're throwing extra reds into.
We are seeing
got a chance to arsenal that last card as well.
Sure, we are seeing the hit and run Iron Song in response getting the +3, so he is going to get he's not going to get through because Jacob had the Fate Foreseen, but the Twinning Blade is going to allow him to attack again because hit and run had the unconditional go again. Jacob's probably going to block the last one for 3.
So I would say, again, another questionable use of the Twinning Blade. So in this instance, Twinning Blade is a very special card in this matchup because it does let you get around them blocking. But in this instance, you got around the block, you swung again with step 3 attack, knowing your opponent had plenty of cards left to block it.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe there's an argument to make if you have the extra resource to use the bracers on it. Maybe that 4 is a little bit more awkward, but even then, Jacob would have been plenty comfortable taking the 1 damage.
Sure.
The Twinning Blade in this matchup, I don't think is shining as brightly as we would like to see, and I do think a portion of that is the wide nature of this deck versus the tall nature of this deck. On the basis that, if you're going tall, they're more likely to play those big unmovables, those big staunch responses on that first swing, because you might be threatening an overpower or a rout. Whereas in a wide, if your reacts are only threatening 3/3/3, they may be more happy piecemealing 2 cards from hand and then knowing they have a Fate or a Sync waiting afterwards.
Sure.
So here we see the benefits of the wide deck, where on that sword swing afterwards, if you don't have a big attack react, you can pivot and just play that CNC to strip cards out of your opponent's hand.
I mean, as we kind of mentioned before, Guardian is not short on 3 blocks as far as defense cards, so Jacob's just going to throw a CNC and I think a blue Towering Titan to it, block the 6, and still have 2 cards to work with. So he's going to pitch the red staunch response. He's going to create the search token and probably pitch another blue and swing for 4, which looks like that's what he's doing.
So, item to note here, the hammer swing's coming in for 4, because a Nothos only gets that +2 buff if there are 2 cards with cost 3 in the resource or in the pitch zone, where staunch response only costs 2.
So he's only going to go down to 6 here. Fun fact, though, you pitch 3 for the you could pitch 3 with 1 blue card, swing with a Nothos, then on the reaction step, pitch another 3, swing in for Pummel, and you still get the +2 because a Nothos keeps checking. So easy, sneaky way to get up to 10 if you so choose. Back to Sharif's turn here. Starting off, pitching a shunt. Start off with the Supremacy. I believe it is a blue shunt, so he should have 2 floating. Gonna see what he's gonna do with this Supremacy. He's gonna swing for 5, I believe. 1 floating, 3 cards in hand.
So this looks like Sharif's final effort here. He put himself down to a dangerously low life against a class that has on-hit dominate and a huge life runaway on him. His hope is that this hand can force that tempo swing and really force Bravo's only remaining options to be 1 card hammer swings for 4.
Sure.
Now that's a very, very big if. That card has been in Arsenal for a few turns now. It's likely to be a defense react. We haven't seen, we know there's plenty left in Jacob's deck.
Right.
And even, some of the ones we saw get pitched. Okay, so we're
seeing a bit of an armor block here. So I see, I think, a block for 7 in total. 1 from Crater Fist and 6 from cards. So it's going to be a 7 against a 5 here. we'll see what kind of reactions. Singing Steelblade coming out.
Pardon me. Because of that, adding the armor there, I think, was an interesting way to get around certain breakpoints that you may not necessarily always think about at first blush with Warrior. And if I'm Sharif in this instance, I'm thinking because he came in with 7 that he's representing that he's holding a 4-cost defense react as well. Or there's one in the arsenal or something like that. Because 7 plus 4 from that react would take you to 11, where 5 plus 3 plus 3 from 2 general warrior reacts. But it seems that we're looking at the Steel Blade and the Route here, which is
Route pitching the blue overpower to do so because it is an expensive card here. Looking to send back the there we go. So we see the unmovable coming out in response. I believe it's a blue unmovable. If I am correct here, I believe it's blue. Just decides to send back that Showtime. Just pitch it to pay for the unmovable. So a little bit awkward here. I mean, Route a very strong card, but because, as we mentioned, the amount of D-reacts that Jacob's pushing here on movables, probably a suite of Fate Foreseen, Sink Below, Zero Cost for defense, and those staunch responses we saw earlier, he was just able to kind of come in with the unmovable to block the rest of it, and because of that, it kind of stops Sharif's aggression here. We do see just a pitch and swing from Jacob,
which at this point is enough to win the game, because a pitch and swing, either they take 1 damage and you put them on a very severe timer, or they have to block with 2 cards because they're out of armor.
He's just taking the 4. I mean, there's no there's no reckless swing or shunts or anything that Guardian has to kind of push unconditional damage just when he swings. But I mean, there must be something going on.
Guardians do have on-demand dominate. So in this instance, on 22 life, I think we see another Steelblade Supremacy, which is probably the only card that provides enough threat for a Guardian to not
just take it
damage, because otherwise, it wouldn't be a crazy thing to say I take 15 damage, go down to 7, and dominate 11 back at you, knowing that you have no armor.
Yeah, that could easily be a crippling in hand or a crippling in arsenal, right? Or even a spinal. I mean, at this point, that's all you need. Oh, full 4 block. Okay, fair enough.
Which is, in this instance, you need to do that. They have 1 resource floating, so that remaining card can come in for a maximum of +4 if it is the very, very last Steel Blade in their deck.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 covers that anyways, and realistically, that came at no cost to Bravo. Because you've still got a 20 life lead, and you can eat as many 4 or 5 card turns as you can. So in this instance, Scar for a Scar in this deck is a lot of times just some excellent free damage, because there is no on-hit effect. It's the first thing you do on your turn most of the time, and because there's no on-hit effect and the sword does have such a threatening on-hit effect, you save your cards to block for later. But in this instance, although it's free damage, 4 off of 22 is it's a good first step, but there's a long way to run.
Yeah, he's going to need to swing in with a bit more. He does have 3 cards left in hand, 1 card in arsenal. Being at 2 with no armor is a bit scary. He still does have bolters up to use for a go. Well, he just has hit and run. There's a lot of unconditional go again in go wide warriors, so a lot of the times we don't usually see bolters being used super early. Only when you do not draw any kind of unconditional go again here, but we do just see a hit and run coming in for Dawnblade 3 go again unconditionally. Jacob just blocking 3 with another Spinal Crush, and then we're going to see the E-Strike probably coming in for 7 here. Again, great go wide card, along with CMC that we saw earlier, as it allows you to just kind of swing, maybe get some free damage. Already got it from Scar, and then coming in for 7. So he came in for 4 plus 3 plus 7. Not a bad turn. 14, coming in for 14. Kind of shows the strength that the go wide warrior can do with a couple cards in the hand.
There is some good strength there, but I unfortunately think it's perhaps a little bit too little, too late
Mhm.
Jacob opting to take 7. Oh, opting to take 7. I was expecting to push some dominated damage here, but it looks like it could just as well be a pummel. We've only
Yeah.
seen one of those so far, if my memory serves.
Yeah, I believe we saw a blue pummel earlier that came in against the shunt from Sharif on that mangle earlier, but I don't know. Oh, yeah, there's the pummel. All
Yeah,
right.
there we are.
That looks like the GG right there. Even with yeah, Jacob just showing what he's got the fate for scene left in hand, but with that pummel, he's going to be going up to 10, and the Razor Reflex only blocks for 2, so 2 plus any color shunt is not going to do it for you because you're going to come to 10, a maximum of 8 if you had the red shunt there. I believe it's actually a blue shunt, and I can't see perfectly here. It might be a red shunt.